Oh, hello everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. It looks like we're already having issues in terms of the whole start stop thing with OBS. So sorry for that. Buckle up. We're going to be okay though. You know what? We're going to persevere and push through. We were able to do it last week. Welcome back everyone. If you've not ever been here, welcome for the first time. If you're returning, welcome back. This is the third of hopefully many episodes of my new podcast, Bard Advice, where I do my best to dispense advice for Dungeons and Dragons related issues, concerns, or questions. And maybe eventually I'll get to some more of just general life advice questions, but I figured that we would start with just D&D stuff at least as we build this thing up. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully the cutouts won't be too much if they continue to happen. I did reset my bitrate settings in OBS and thought that fixed the issue, but I don't think it did. So we're just going to power through. Should do an edition of D&D on West Virginia. Yeah, that would be interesting. I would like to do more states, but we'll see how it goes. So I have a couple of notes here, which is kind of a new thing, just because we recently changed our shooting location. Why? I don't know. Well, really, the easy answer is that it was ease, because we went back to shooting in batches, and we did so at Rigsby's house just because it's easier. He has the space there, and there's some growing pains, obviously, and some shifts and changes we'll have to make with that transition, but I think it'll end up ultimately being easier for everybody, and it'll allow us more time to shoot other things. So technical issues we've kind of talked about already. Would I rather fight a Tarrasque-sized goblin or two goblin-sized Tarrasques? Tarrasque-sized goblin. Happy Thanksgiving late, I guess. It was yesterday, but I hope everybody got a good opportunity to just chill with family and eat some good food. Oh, okay. So then the next part here, see, I have notes, so I'm trying to be organized. The next thing here I want to put on the screen is the email for the show. So, if you want to send questions, please do send them to bardadvice@gmail.com or bardadvice, whatever is easier for you to remember. And just send them over. I have gotten a bunch of stuff, and kind of a note that goes along with this one as to asking for questions is just reminding everyone that I do read everything. Can't unfortunately get to everything for all kinds of reasons, but just because I haven't answered your question yet doesn't mean that I won't. It just means that I either haven't gotten to it or I've read it and have decided at my discretion that it's either not ready or I don't have the appropriate answer for it. Either way, send that stuff to bardadvice@gmail.com. And also, wanted to mention merch because it is the holidays. People are looking for stuff to get for people. So if you head to our website at manshorts.com, you can get all kinds of cool merch, including man shorts. So go over to manshorts.com, get yourself some merch for the holidays. All right. And oh, hey, and there's Bobby. Hey, Bobby. Speaking of Bobby, we might as well go ahead and just do that now because my first question is it is indeed a question about art. So before we get into that, I'll just go ahead and plug Bobby because I mentioned briefly on last week's episode that I had a friend Bobby who does AI art and he's really good at it. So actually I have some images here that I'm going to pop up to show you guys the kind of stuff he's doing. So these are two different images. Forgive the dimensions and setting. I did it in 5 minutes. I just kind of grabbed them from Instagram, but he's really good at it. So you should go check that out. This is another one of his, and this is his IG, is The Muse in the Machine. I put it in the description as well, but he makes really dope stuff. So you should go check it out because it's cool to look at. And if you're into AI art and stuff, he's got a good following on IG that's growing. So that would be cool. I'm going to bring the other one up again just to make sure, because there was another disconnect there. But yeah, there's that. So that's pretty cool. So go check out Bobby at the Muse in the Machine with all the underscores there. Or you can just click the link in the description because I put it in there. But yeah, Bobby's super dope. Yeah, Rob, I know. I'm sorry. I am cutting in and out. It's an OBS issue. I've got to figure out what the problem is. It's just like, it's part of the podcast, really. It's just like we're on the quest to make sure that this thing works. So we'll see. We'll try again next week and see how smooth it sails. But I mean, YouTube says I have an excellent connection, but OBS is, I think, struggling. Wouldn't want to live there. Cool to look at, though. So, the first question we have, let's get into the first question. We've given Bobby too much plug time. Get out of here. Go check out Bobby's stuff. It's dope. So, the first question, because I brought it up, was that it is about art. It's from Daniel, and Daniel says, or asks rather, talk to us about that beautiful piece of art below the Dangerfield portrait. I can't stop looking at it. Any interesting stories about it? So I don't really have very many interesting stories about it. I got it from my mom. So it's a Dali painting. And I have it here somewhere. I think I can pull it up. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. So, yeah, so it's a painting by Salvador Dali. It's called The Hallucinogenic Toreador. And it's interesting for me to look at because I've looked at it most of my life. It's really cool. It's in fact on display at the Salvador Dali Museum in St. Pete. And my mom and I used to live there when I was a kid, and I got to go, and it's super dope. But yeah. That's what it is. It's the hallucinogenic toreador. And just like a light dig on Wiki, it's the hallucinogenic toreador Dali transmits his wife's dislike for bullfighting by combining symbolism, optical illusions, and estranging yet familiar motifs. He used his paranoiac critical method to create his own visual language within the painting and combined versatile images as an instructive example of his artistic ability and vision. Yeah, so there's like a lot of like, there's 28 Venus de Milos in there. There's just like a whole bunch of cool like imagery. And he was like a crazy artist. So yeah, Dali's dope. And I also brought this too up just to show because this is what he's most known for, is the persistence of time, the melting clocks. And on that note, well, this is Dali because he's kind of, but I also wanted to bring up and mention and take pictures of and show, this is just cool. This is a sculpture piece that my cousin made years and years ago. And as you can see, the parts of it have chipped away and it's a bit deteriorated, but I think it's super dope. It's one of my favorite things that I have around my house. So I just thought I'd throw that in there since we were talking about Dali. But yeah, so unfortunately I don't have any cool stories about that particular painting other than just letting you know what it is and a little bit of the story behind it, I guess. Let's see. Dali had impeccable taste in facial hair. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, hopefully that answers that question. And on that note too, I had another note for myself about the art stuff. Is like, I wonder if as I'm kind of building out this podcast and like still kind of creating the rules as I go, I wonder if I might make like a portion of the podcast that's like an art corner, where we just kind of like talk about art, because like that's bard stuff, right? Like I also think that too about like music and film or television, like really any kind of like arts I think would be kind of fair game to discuss, even if it was just kind of like sectioned off into just like, you know, we're just going to talk about that for 10 or 15 minutes, which is kind of about what we're at now, really just shooting the breeze about art and getting into the first question. But yeah, and then as for the other stuff on my wall, you know, you've got, I guess I can like look at myself on my thing. Okay, so you've got the Dali, the Dangerfield is above that. That's Michael Jordan above that. Picture of him doing a dunk. And then I've got Einstein's back there, and that was done by a family friend artist who is passed away, but she was awesome. Linda Dieter. That's her Einstein back there. And then I've got a Tupac over there, Carlin, some little signs there. One of them says "Adventure is calling." The other one says "All colors are beautiful." And then that's a little Van Gogh card there on the side next to Carlin, the skeleton smoking a cigarette. So yeah. Oh, and then I got like an old barometer up there. That was like my great-grandfather's. So that's all the stuff that's up there. But yeah, what do you think? Should we do like a little art corner? Yes, smash the like button, please. Oh yeah, and that was something else I was going to mention too. Not only merch, but also I wanted to thank the super chats that we've had before, and also just like mention that is something that's available, and it is something that's more of a direct impact to us as the creators, just because like YouTube's been crazy with the shorts algorithm this last year. So like we've had kind of diminishing returns on views and stuff. And of course, you know, that could just be part of like people getting kind of bored of the formula, but it also could be part of the fact that the algorithm is like completely geared into pushing shorts. So the short super chats are super helpful. So not that they're expected, obviously. You know, it's tough times for everybody right now, but if it's something that you can't afford, something you want to do, they're always super appreciated. So, daughter who turns 10 is an pretty unbelievable an artist. She draws but really loves digital art. Yeah. I mean, digital art I think is going to be like, it's interesting. I don't think it's going to like replace art. It's just going to become like a new thing. And it'll be just really interesting to see how it stacks and layers. You know, just from like an outsider looking in, seeing the stuff that Bobby does with the AI art, it's unbelievable. It's really crazy stuff. Suggestion page has lots of shorts and realized I was not seeing a lot of channels. Yeah, that's what they've been pushing. But, I mean, you know, it makes sense. Consider Man Shorts shorts. We do have Man Shorts shorts at manshorts.com. You can get yourself a pair. You'd be helping out the channel and getting yourself something, treating yourself for something for Christmas or whatever holidays you've got coming up. We're in the holiday season. So it's merch buying time. I'm going to grab some water. Sorry about that. Or maybe you liked it. I don't know. Any ASMR people out there. Hi, James. I'm not Justen. My name's Charles. Justin's the director. Definitely. Oh, yeah. I already read that. Are we on topic already or still? I mean, we're all over the place here always. A man short shorts. A man short about the man short shorts. I like that idea. All right. Let's get into the second story. Had to stop by past your bedtime. Oh, well, thank you for stopping by. I'll look at this, and now Bobby's on here being nice. Okay, so let's get on to the question 2. Let's move there, shall we? Because I think that this one's a little more in depth. This second one is from Sarah, another Sarah. Lots of Sarahs writing in. So, I grew up in Florida. Sarah asks, so I grew up in Florida and played with the same group of D&D players for 7 years on and off. I moved to Scotland this year and haven't really made nerdy friends. I work a job with inconsistent work days. I know one-shots are a thing, but I like growing a character with a group of the same people over time. It certainly make me feel less lonely in the situation I'm in. Any advice? Yeah, that's tough, Sarah. So first of all, thank you for the question. It's tough being in a new place where you don't know anybody. I would imagine even more difficult, you know, like being across an ocean, because there was a short period in my life where I lived in Michigan, and it was just me and my friend Ryan, and I didn't know anybody there, and it was on the complete other side of the country from Florida. This says it's reconnecting, so I think we're still here, but yeah, it's really, it's tough. So yeah, I would say that my advice would be to look and see if you could find a game online And I should have saved it and I didn't because I've looked it up before. But there's or chat. Yeah, go off and chat and tell me in chat if that, because there are websites I know where like you can find a D&D game, right? Don't they have like apps and websites now that work like Tinder for D&D? Where you can just, I mean, obviously you can always go to like an FLGS. I don't know what the availability is in Scotland in general or in your area for that, but I mean that's option one for sure. That's the go-to, right? Is to just go to the FLGS. You can find games there. But yeah, roll D20. Yeah, roll 20. You could probably find games on there. There's a website in particular that's like what is this? RLFG is great for online games. Oh, okay. I guess that's a Reddit subreddit. RLFG. You might try that. Find something there. Yeah, there's another suggestion for Roll20. So, yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for finding a game, I'm sure you could find a game online that would satisfy that, at least that urge of playing, and then, you know, give you some camaraderie. Obviously, if, you know, online's not the same as in person when you're talking about friends and interaction and playing games and stuff, but, you know, you take what you can get when you're kind of like, you know, I remember it was tough, and when I was in Michigan, even having my buddy there, like my really close friend, it was tough. So yeah, I would say, like, you know, if you can't, if you're kind of cut off from everybody physically, I would say then utilize the internet to try and get yourself into a situation where you can play some games. And um, games are supposed to enhance the basic life you built, not replace. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, they can certainly be helpful when you're going through a tough time. You know, Skyrim helped me get through Michigan just because it was, you know, something to, like, you know, if you're, because you're going to have that tough time anyway. So like, if you can have something that you can like use to distract your mind for even just a few hours a week, or a few hours a month, that's helpful. So I would say really lean into the online community to try and find yourself a game. And then, you know, maybe even, you might even be able to use the online tools and subreddits and stuff to find a local game where you can like actually physically sit down with people. That's what I would say. And we have, and I get a lot of questions in general about just like, what should I do? Like, I want to play a game, but I can't find a game. And it's like, those are the two big answers. The first is the FLGS, your friendly local game store. You can just search for like board games and stuff in your area and find something, if there is something there in your local area. And if you're cut off from that locally, physically, or you're somebody that has like issues with anxiety and stuff, and you just want to do online, then, you know, jump into that hard. I'm sure that there are groups available looking for people. Which of us belong to Kepler? So that is Justen and Melissa's doggo. He's such a goober. And he's just a big fluff monster. I remember when he was little. A D&D meme edition? No, but that would just be like a dumpster fire, right? How would that work? I could have fun with that, I think. Lance, I think, would really have fun with that. Or Jay. Since this is Bard Advice, can you do a Man Shorts Bard College edition? Oh, that's your alma mater, like the actual Bard College. That would be cool. That's a bit specific. Maybe. Yeah, Kepler is the best boy. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to give a better answer than that, Sarah. But I think that you can scratch that itch at least online, for the time being, and then maybe in the future, you know, once you develop a bit of a foundation in Scotland and get some friends around there, then, you know, maybe you could introduce new people. That's something to consider too. That might be like a silver lining, is that, like, you know, maybe as you get friends in Scotland, maybe introduce some people who have never played. That would be cool. Of course, that would probably require you to DM, but you could find like a DM online or in a local game store, and then just like, you know, gather some, you know, bring some of your friends, new friends in, because maybe they'll love it. And then you've got new D&D friends in Scotland. Who writes all the Man short scripts for the cat? I write most of them. I don't write all of them. Justen is like really helpful, and Justin's written a bunch, and he's like, and we've written a lot together, because he's able to come up with these really cool ideas, and then I can just kind of like make them work when we write them. So go to work dressed as a wizard or something and see if you get any bites. Yeah, that's true. That's a good call. That's something to think about, Sarah. You could just go to work dressed as a wizard. See if anybody's like, hey, do you play D&D? That's like a good like signal, right? Sorry for everything cutting in and out, y'all. We'll have to try and fix it for next time, but we trudge on. So that's for you, Sarah. Hopefully that answers your question. D&D World coming along that you're building, that was put on a back burner some time ago. It still exists. I might still do it, but there hasn't been really any activity with that, unfortunately. All right, so let's move on to the next question. I got this question from Matt, and he actually sent a follow-up email that was fun. We had some fun there. So Matt asks, let me see here. You mentioned in your first Bard Advice stream that you complain a lot about 5e and miss 3.5. Is there a reason other than brand recognition that you haven't tried Pathfinder 2e? Or if you have, is there a reason you went back to 5e? Also, why is Rigsby/Wayland so tired? I don't know what the deal is with his sleep, but I imagine that he has a similar relationship with sleep as I do, which is like tumultuous. I don't know. I think that he just has, I don't think that he sleeps well. Maybe he has apnea or something. I don't know. But yeah, he yawns a lot. He also, like, at least when we were filming weekly, is usually the first to shoot. So he's like a 10 a.m. shoot. So he's usually earlier than everybody. I usually like roll in the afternoon to do my stuff. So that's the Wayland Rigsby question. But the 3.5.5e Pathfinder thing. So most of my background with the game is with 3.5, so I have and that was the first edition that I played, and I really like all of that stuff. The 3.5 stuff, like, I don't know, there was just a wealth of books, and we bought them all and just built these crazy epic kind of characters, and then 5e, 4e was, well, we don't talk about 4e. We don't talk about 4e. 5e streamlined all of that stuff. So 5e, and they were really smart with how they did it. Like, because they made casters viable. Not that 3.5 casters aren't viable, but they made them more appealing especially for new players, because, like, spellcasters are complicated. 3.5 spellcasters are complicated and squishy. You can die fast as a spellcaster in 3.5. Anyway, they streamlined all of the stuff, and then obviously, like, when we started doing these videos, 5e had already been out for like a year or two, and then Stranger Things came out, and that boosted us a lot, and then all of that stuff like Harmon Quest and obviously Critical Role, like, but it's not so much that at least in the additions, as far as like the weekly videos, the short answer is yes, as to like brand recognition, I guess. Like 5e is the edition that's popping right now. It's the one that people are playing. I mean, obviously people play their own, and if it were up to me, I'd be playing 3.5, but like 5e is what everyone's playing, at least until like 1 comes out. So we try to like stick with 5e as much as we can, at least in terms of the rules, just because it's like what's, what the current edition that everyone's playing at the moment. As for Pathfinder 2e, I have played it. I only unfortunately was able to play it once, and it was a short campaign. So I haven't really played it since. But yeah, from what I understand and what I remember and what I gathered about 2e, it's kind of perfect. Like, because I feel like 3.5 was really, really close, and then that Pathfinder like fixed the errors, and then like Pathfinder 2 just like improved upon that even further. So, and I think I've said that. I think I've said that before. 3.5 is squishy. Try AD&D first edition. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure, dude. That's, and that's probably why it's just gotten, easier and more streamlined. And like some of the older generation like me, and those even older that are from the AD&D, OD&D days, like um it can be tough to see this stuff in 5e and just be like, what? They can just do that now? Like back in my day. Oh boy, you had to roll for all this stuff, and let me tell you about Thaco. It's just like, so yeah, Matthew. I don't know if that answers the question. I think it does. That was like, I think the real meat of it. Like, if is there a reason? Yeah, I mean the real reason is that it's just that's the edition that's currently going now. As far as like campaigns that we play, I've already told everybody on the channel, like if and when we do another stream of us playing D&D, I want it to be 3.5. I really want to play a 3.5 campaign because, man, you can make some really cool stuff. D&D Broken Party Edition with wizards lacking spellbooks, bards with no charisma, rogues who are frightened in the dark, pacifist barbarians, paladins who are atheists. I like that. That sounds really fun. Use a lot of 3.5 books in the videos. Yeah, and that's the funny thing about that is that like we have so many 3.5 books and not very many 5e books. Neither Justen nor myself has a physical copy of the PHB for 5th edition. So when we started shooting, all we had was 3.5 books, so they're just there. How old is too old for D&D? No such thing. I don't think that there's such thing as too old or too young. I think maybe too young, obviously, I think make your best call as parents, right? But I mean, if you can come up with a character and roll dice, you can play. Gygax edition, veteran, started in 79, colored the numbers on the dice with a white crayon. Hell yeah. I love when the OGs are in here. That's awesome. Yeah, Kirk says he's 60 and plays weekly. And then Steven says his 7-year-old plays with them. So, yeah, I mean, 0 to 100. 0 to 150. Aren't we supposed to start living longer? Didn't somebody say that? I mean, not me specifically, but like in general. Isn't human life span extending? What with like technology and scientific research? Anyway, I hope that answers your question, Matt. I don't know if you're here or not. Sorry, I've been bad about like following chat as it goes and just kind of like peeking in when I can, but played Apostle of Peace vow of poverty in a Book of Exalted Deeds campaign. Dude, anything from the Book of Exalted Deeds is broken. That's just like, they could have just called that book Broken Stuff. For real. I mean, started in 78 with Holmes Basic, started teaching your kids to play. Heck yeah. So broken, so fun. Yeah. Breaking stuff, it can be really like cathartically fun. Okay. So thank you, Matt. Let's move on because we've got a few more questions. And I'd like to get to, there's one in particular I'd like to get to, although all of the questions are important. I enjoy the questions equally. So thank you, Matt, for your question. Hopefully that answers it. This question is from Sharon. And Sharon asks, when you're in a D&D campaign and it's a really good storyline, what's the best way to actually turn it into a story for reader consumption? Do I need to get the permission of the players or DM to take the story and turn it into something? So, I think it depends on how you want to do it. I mean, I think a book is your best route with fantasy, right? Like, I mean, you could write it for like film or if you wanted to make like a comic book, like a graphic novel maybe, but that stuff's extra work. You can just write the words in the book. I will say writing a book is super difficult. I got about 160 pages into a fantasy novel over a decade ago now, but it's tough. It takes a lot. I don't know how King does it or Patterson or any of those guys that just like churn out 5 books a year. That stuff is just crazy to me. I don't understand. As a writer, I don't understand. It takes a special type of person. So I would say a book as to the best way to turn it into a story for reader consumption. As for the permission, I don't know that you would like legally need it, although it might just be like courteous to ask. But I mean, if all of the stuff is like, I would ask just out of courtesy. I'm not an attorney. I don't think that there's anything, I don't think that you would legally need to get the permission if the stuff is fantasy. But, you know, it is something that could come back to bite you. If like, you know, you wrote like a bestseller and then like somebody got mad that you used it and then they tried to make an argument in court that it was like their idea because it came from their brain. I would ask just to be sure, you know, you never know. And they're probably going to be cool with it. In fact, I mean, I would be, if somebody came to me and was like, yo, I'm going to write a book about our D&D exploits. I'd be like, yeah, I've thought about doing that. I actually thought about like rewriting the air. It's just too much work, you know. You can only do so much. Just change the names and looks. Yeah, you could do that, but I mean, again, you run the issue of like it coming out and somebody being like, "Wait a minute, this is what my paladin did. What is this?" So I would say airships. Yes, we had a D&D campaign that we played on the channel called Airships of Nuada. It's on here. Look it up. Check it out. Nebraska because. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the donation. It's much appreciated. How did Jenny D end up guesting? So funny. We share an agent. So, you know, we just kind of chatted about doing some stuff. I think that we did. I can't remember if she guested first or did the song with me first. But that's the short answer, through our agent. Started D&D 2nd edition, moved on later to the White Wolf, and have been really wanting to get back into D&D. Hop back in, Blind Commander. Get in the fray. Get in here. I mean, I'm not playing a game right now. I just mean, like, in general, you should play. Airships of Nuada seriously needs a cartoon. It would be so cool, man. All the Tantor stuff and, like, Studebaker Peppercorn. Man, I would love that. That would be really cool. Running a campaign that you're playing on making into a novel, you would just edit the characters to be significantly different from the PCs and maybe tone down the murder hoboery. Yeah. Yeah, I would say just ask. Just out of courtesy and just kind of like covering yourself. If you do end up making like some awesome property and then they have problems with it. Have to check out Airships of Nuada. Just looked it up. You guys do a lot of fun stuff. Thank you, Rob, for the super chat. It's very appreciated. Very helpful. Thank you. And check it out. There's like, I think it's like 30 episodes or something. And then there's like an epilogue that is like Tantor stuff. That's like, you know, it's, there's a spot where one of my characters like kind of disappears and then stuff happens. So check it out. It's cool. How do we think your name was Justen? Well, Justen is the director on the channel, and he is the one with the last name Mann. My name is Charles Bates. He is Justen Mann. When we started the channel, it was just like a very on the fly, like, we'll just make a band shorts. And so that's what it was. So that's probably the confusion because it's, you know, his namesake as to the channel name, and then he's the director. But I'm the one that is I'm probably the most seen on the channel as the DM and stuff. And my name is Charles. So, okay. Thank you for all the super chats and all the just general chats and just coming to hang out. I do really enjoy this. This is fun for me. And hopefully once I fix this dang turn on and off problem, then things will be super smooth. Might have already been asked, but what is my favorite class to play? You know, a lot of people might think that it's Bard, but it's not. I've actually played more fighters than anything. I love fighters, particularly like 3.5 Pathfinder fighters, but I mean, any fighter will do, really. The new ones are kind of like, without all the feats, with such fewer feats in 5e. Yeah, I don't know how beneficial the bonus feats are. I'm sure that there's good feats and reasons to take them, but I don't know. It's just something about being a 3/5 fighter who gets a bonus feat every other level and just having like 1,000 feats to choose from, and just better than man star baits, I guess. Yeah. That's how Weiss and Hickman wrote first Dragonlance novel. They then realized it was a terrible plan and instead wrote the books first and converted to D&D later, which worked out much easier. Cool. Thank you for everything, Duncan. I will keep on keeping on. Favorite PC was a fighter thief. Yeah, I love fighters. So much fun there. And then also druids and rangers. Rangers... I feel like rangers are just like the stepchild of classes. They don't get love, and like rangers are dope, man. And they mean less, I think, in 5e. Just because like the capabilities of all the classes have like been beefed up. So it's like, what's the ranger really doing? But 3/5, man. And ranger, there's versatility there a little bit. A little druidy, a little fightery, a little paladin-y. I like rangers. Okay, so let's move on. We've got a question from River. This is actually the one that I was talking about that I wanted to do, just because I have a funny story about it, I guess, that I'll say when I bring it up. But, okay, this is from River. River asks, I have stage fright, which can sometimes make DMing pretty tough. My question is twofold. Do you get stage fright when you have to perform for an audience? And if you do, what are some of the techniques you use to combat or counteract that? Love the first episode. Can't wait for more. Thank you, River. And thank you for following up with a question that's easier than false Hydra stuff. I'm going to answer that at some point, but I've got to do some research and thinking. So I'll get to that. Thank you for a much easier question. And also like something I feel like is important because, so yes, I get stage fright every time I do anything. I've done like 200 of those D&D videos, and like I still get stage fright and worried about, oh, hey River, you just joined. I'm talking to you. We're doing your question. Thank you for becoming a member, Nebraska Because. That's kind of a cool name too. I like that, Nebraska Because. So yeah, dude, I get stage fright before I do anything. It doesn't matter how many times you do it. I think that that's a fallacy. Like experience with being in front of a camera. And it's bizarre, right? Because logically you would think that it wouldn't be that big of a deal because it's just me in a room with my camera, right? Like nobody's in here with me. It's just me. But you feel it. You feel the eyes. You see the chat. And specifically with DMing, even though it's only like 4 or 5 or 6 people, but like you want to do good. Most people just want to do good and they're trying their best. And they don't want to mess up. And when it comes to D&D and DMing specifically, like you want your players to enjoy their time. You want there to be as few snags as possible. Had a little disconnect there. Before I got on here, my wife and I were talking about, she was like helping me calm down because it's like stressful. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this thing and talk to these people. And it's pressure to make everyone happy and yourself. Yeah. Rob says Henry Fonda threw up before every performance. Yeah. As for like working on things, I found help in a lot of like grounding techniques. Just cause like I've dealt with anxiety most of my life. Not necessarily social anxiety, but just like general anxiety. And one of the things that helps for me is like grounding exercises. So like, counting, finding like 5 things around you that start with the letter F or something. And it's just an exercise to kind of like distract yourself and like, keep you focused on something that's not the problem. I'd say that the other thing too is to like, and I think I said this either last episode or on the first episode with one question in regards to like this guy who wanted to DM and like he wants it to be good. Like I'd say like give yourself a break, because like everybody gets stressed. It's very rare, public speaking is more, there are more people that are afraid of speaking publicly than there are people who are afraid of death. Like, or I think the statistic is like people are more admittedly afraid of stage fright than death or something. Like, it's super stressful to like put yourself out there vulnerably to humans. And my wife said a thing that I really like, which I agree with, and like exposure is hard. It's difficult. Like putting yourself out there is difficult in any respect. And we're in an interesting spot in our society and our humanity where like technology is making it such that everyone is exposed. And that's a new weird thing that we are still very much dealing with. 7-player table. Next session's tomorrow. Been a DM and you always get music. You always get nervous. Music is your go-to for relax and focus. Yeah, music is powerful, man. Music has saved my life more than once. So when I DM, it gets easier, and after the first few minutes, and also helps take a few 10 seconds breaths. Yeah, that's good advice. That's another thing too, is like once you start doing the thing, it's easy. Like, and that's for anything, right? Like the longer you sit and stew with it and worry about it, like, but once you start doing it, and that's how this thing is, right? Like I was freaked before I came and started this thing, but like, I'm chill, I'm pretty like in the pocket. I mean, as I can be. There's obviously like still like a general level of like just wanting to make sure everything goes smoothly, but like I'm way more comfortable now than I was half an hour ago. So yeah, I'd say just be yourself, River. You're a great dude. And you know what? Here, I'm going to make you a mod. Wait a second. Okay, I added you as a mod, River. So I wanted to do that because you're one of the fans that we like a lot, and I know you're trustworthy and stuff, so you can help with chat stuff. Do you have any local game stores you prefer? Local Jackson, only found one so far. Java House. So there's an FLGS on Highway 17. If you're heading down towards Jacksonville. There is over on Beach Boulevard, Darby's Dungeon. So, and Darby's great people. She's really cool. That's where we shot our Rap Edition 2. The RP Summer music. Doing great. I can't tell that you're nervous at all in your content. Also, your music is great. Keep it up. Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate the super chat. Sorry for the disconnects. Nebraska says, River, we used to play movie soundtracks, LOTR, stuff in the background. Oh, yeah, that's cool. That could be helpful. Don't worry about being late. It's no worries. I'm late all the time. Try not to be late to this, though. So, yeah. Okay. We have 2 more questions that I do want to get to. And this one's gone by pretty quickly. Lots of popping on and off with the disconnect, so sorry for that. But yeah, Chef Kronos, yeah, Darby's Dungeon, and then it's just called FLGS on Highway 17. Either of those. Hook it up. Huge playlist for ambience and background music. Vote for D&D Buckaroo Bonsai Edition. Oh my god. I haven't thought about Buckaroo Bonsai in... That makes me think of 6-String Samurai. That would be a fun addition. But that was kind of like, I mean, post-apocalyptic Vegas. I guess we kind of did that stuff. Hey, Avram. Thank you, Blind Commander. Appreciate it. Same Bard time, same Bard channel. Yes, it is. It is the same Bard time, same Bard channel every week, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I stream here, and then the podcast comes out at noon. You're not that late, Avram. I've got about probably 15 or 20 more minutes. I'm going to go. But I do want to get to the next question, so thank you. Oh, geez. Thanks, Rob. Geez. Forgot about the rap. Listen to that stuff all the time. D&D in my mix. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. That means a lot. Really. That stuff like really helps us directly because like numbers have been a bit wonky with the algorithm stuff lately, so it's really appreciated, man. I'm glad you enjoy the music too. I'm working on new stuff. Hopefully I can get my act together and get a third album together for you. And more importantly, get my Attack of Opportunity album back on online. I think that we're clear for me to get that re-uploaded, so it should be available up in the next week or two. So hopefully. Pathfinder 2e I spoke about a little bit earlier. I think it's really great. I've only really played it once, unfortunately, so I don't have too much experience with it, but it's pretty on point. I mean, it's just like Pathfinder, but better. So, all right, so we've got 2 more questions. Thank you for the question, River. And I'm glad that I was able to make you a mod, because at least we have like at least one now. So, this question comes from Dylan. And Dylan asks, how do you think would be the best way to help a party if they're going down a path that is not the path they should be on, or keep a party from killing themselves without stopping them? Well, I'll say this. The party's probably always on a path they're not supposed to be on. That's just kind of like how it goes, right? You do your best to not railroad heavily, but most of the time they're just going to kind of do their own thing anyway, right? So like I would say the best way to go about helping them is to just like make it happen. And it doesn't have to be like forced or crazy, but just, you know, if they went south and and you wanted them to go north, just change the location of the place. If that's possible. That's the easy answer. Now, there's more to the question, too, because you ask keeping a party from killing themselves without stopping them. Yeah, I don't know I don't know what to answer other than to say just use your best judgment and power as the DM, right? So, like, if you want to keep them from killing themselves without stopping them, then, like, well, I was going to say just stop it, but I guess that's what you want to avoid. I don't know how you could do that, really, because they're going to do what they want to do, right? And I mean, if they want to go and do some crazy stuff that might get them killed, they're going to do that. Now, you could make the argument that you should just let them die, because that lends itself to them creating a new character. It lends itself to like changing the entire dynamic of the campaign and the story. Play TPK opening notes whenever they go somewhere they shouldn't. Yeah, play TPK. Play that song. That'll be good. Doing the one play test this week was almost a TPK. You were the only one that died. That sucks. That's really tough. Give them the illusion of choice. Chef says, yeah. Yeah, just make it work. You can make the adjustments as necessary. I think I spoke about that in a previous episode. Like, if you want them to fight some goblins in the woods and they don't go to the woods and they decide to stay in the bar, then have the goblins attack the bar. You know, if they're supposed to follow up on this tip that they got from this guy and then they don't do it, then maybe you put in some like consequences in story, in campaign, that like don't necessarily affect the players or party directly, but affect the story about what's going on. So, for example, this dude gives them this tip that they need to go and investigate this cabin. If they like lollygag and mess around and then don't get to the cabin, then maybe that person that was supposed to give them like the next clue is dead now. And you can let them know that, like, oh, sorry, well, you know, you guys wanted to spend that extra night at the carnival. And so as a result, like, the person who has the next clue is dead. And then that kind of like, it not only kind of puts them on notice and like lets them know that like, whoa, like this stuff can happen, but also makes the story more interesting. So I think that would be cool. NPC resurrection is also wonderful. Or make a rule before the start of a new game. No purposely offing yourself. I don't know. I don't DM. Yeah, you could do that. But I think that, at least speaking for me, because I'm like a real chaos head when it comes to playing D&D. I'm like, I'm not really a murder hobo. I'm more of like I'm a liability from like a curiosity standpoint, I guess. Like, I'm always like trying to see what else is going on except the main thing, which is like super highly annoying. But there are players that are like that. There are parties that are like that. And it's unfortunately just something you got to deal with. So I don't unfortunately know how you could do so without outright stopping them from killing themselves. Other than, you know, just like maybe you just like put them in a stasis or something. You know, don't be afraid to just like say no to stuff. Like I remember I was campaigning once, and there was this guy who was the one of the players had like a super high AC to the point where he was like missing, like I was missing everything, and then I just like hit him, and like it became an issue, kind of an argument. But like the reality is, you're the DM, so you can make that call as to how to handle it. The players don't know that you have to change stuff around because the murder hobo, the main NPC, the info, just have another know it. Yeah. Sometimes characters die. It can make for a great story. Yeah, that's true too. I feel like there are some DMs, especially newer ones, who like don't want to. Wow, holy smokes. Terrence Mendez, thanks for everything you all do. Your campaigns have helped me through many dark times. I love all of your shows and promotional advertisement spots. Please keep doing what you do. You all rock. That's incredibly generous of a super chat. Thank you very much, Terrence. That means a lot. It's incredibly generous, and that makes me happy to hear. You know, like that's what we're here to do. You know. We just like make people laugh. At least here at Bard Advice, it's just more about chilling and talking about D&D. But in general, you know, as a person and as a creator, as a performer, like that's what I want, is to like, you know, bring people a little happiness, or if nothing else, just a little bit of an escape from, you know, because life's tough, man. Life can be really difficult, and it's been more difficult for everybody these last couple of years. So I'm glad. I'm really, that makes me really happy to know that we've gotten you through some stuff, and you know, art's important. Can't let art die. We got to keep stuff going. So we got Bard Advice. We're going to keep doing stuff with Bard Advice. There has to be, yeah, backup PCs. Backup PCs. Yeah, and also, hopefully that wasn't an error. I don't know if it's something that we would be able to fix if it was an error. But either way, thank you very much. Sunday morning tradition is man shorts and coffee. That's awesome. Okay. So we've got one last question here. This will be the last question for the evening. Hitting the old dusty trail. So this last question is from a Torin. Torin asks, I have a core group for D&D consisting of my wife, my best friend, and myself. Over the years, we've had a host of players who end up moving, work schedule changed, or just lost interest. The advice I'm seeking is, how can we make the game fun and balanced with only 2 players and a DM? Okay, so this is a fun question too, because I've played a bunch of 2-player games. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. A really easy way to do it is for you guys to play other players. And when I say play other players, I mean have the DM run a PC, and then you and your wife each run 2 players, and that's a party of 5. That'd be really fun. It would keep it balanced, if for no other reason that like you would have to probably really focus. It would be a cool exercise. I've done a lot of campaigns where I've run 2 players. In fact, in the We Play, 2 of my characters met up and had a full-on like conversation and fight. One of them tried to beat the other one up. So there's that. That's what I thought of immediately. It was just like, oh, well, like if you want more of like a balance, like full party feel, then just play other characters. And then the challenge and balance in that comes from just your ability to like reconcile that and make that stuff work. Do you think you guys will ever do any future meetups, possible one-shot D&D sessions, trying to learn how to play? Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to do another meetup. We had thought or plans that we had thought we talked about it. I'm not opposed to it. It's just a matter of the logistics of it, like where it would be and when we could do it and how we can schedule it and set it up. But yeah, I'd like to do that. We've gotten a lot more viewers and fans from Jacksonville. So what else could you do, I think, to balance a two-player party? I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've done with two-player stuff is very like, I don't know, almost like, what do they call it? Special ops. Like in the military, like when they send in the badasses, like the Navy SEALs and the Marines and shit, like special forces. When you've just got like 2 to 4 people just going in and clearing rooms and stuff. And I think that the other answer is that it depends on the story. It would heavily depend on the story as to how it would work with either if you were just doing 2 players, just each playing a PC. I think that the story is going to be what makes it balanced and fun, because it's gonna the onus of that would be on the DM. The other alternative it was what I mentioned earlier, where you each play multiple characters, because that seems like it would be really fun. You could even do like 3 apiece, like 3 each, and then it's just like you and your wife like are the party, right? That would be super fun. So that's what I would say. I think that that'll work. Doing either one of those. If you don't want to play multiple... Oh, this is more stuff. If you don't want to play multiple characters, you can use sidekicks or followers. Yeah, that too. Liking Ryan George is super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Florida edition meetup. Yeah. It'd be really fun to do another meetup. We've done one before, but I think only once. I also would like to do a con at some point. That would be really cool. No, not DM for hire. I have enough DMing to do with the with the episodes weekly. It's interesting that I've become like this DM character online, because I don't have the biggest background DMing. Most of my experience has been as a player. So I turned them into partners on a special campaign around them meeting and being paired together. I think I missed something. I won a concert. Oh man, I don't have the energy and honestly the desire to do like any kind of tour. I mean, I probably should at some point, right? But I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work, you know, when I can just like continue to make music. Love to see us do a panel at Collective Con. Yeah, there's some that they run here and then some that are close to here. Maybe we'll work it out and figure that out. I'd like to. I'd like to do like a meetup and a con. You'll be in the next session running 3 PCs, a few named NPCs, and a crew of at least 15 named NPCs, and about the same as Red Shirts. Any episodes where you get to play and somebody else gets to DM? Yeah, we have done a couple of those. They are... Which ones are they? Melissa, Sarah DM'd one of the conspiracy editions, maybe 5 or 6. And Jay or Lance DM'd Wrestling Edition. And then, or rather, Wrestling Edition Part 2. And then Rigsby or Waylon DM'd Anime Edition. So it has been done. But yeah, it would be interesting to do maybe even like a full kind of like chapter of like where it's just like one of them DMing or switching it up. Mustang Peppercorn is making regenerating shoes for a skeleton Gith tattoo artist. Oh, that's right. Avram made Mustang. That makes me really happy. Mustang Peppercorn is Studebaker Peppercorn's brother. What cons are in my area? I'm actually not sure. Oh, Jay is a crazy wrestling fan. That Jay, the thing about Jay's the guy to call if you want to know anything about wrestling. Like, that dude's an encyclopedia level mark. Yeah, that's real. That's very real. He's he's super into wrestling, and we are going to make a wrestling edition part 3. That's just another kind of logistical nightmare in terms of scheduling. So, hey, Ricardo. He knows too much to just be playing a fan. Surely, or he does his homework. Yeah. No, that's just like part of his life. He's got like the WWE Network channel, and he watches like AEW every week. He watches. I don't know how much like WWE stuff in specific he watches, because I know he's like a super big AEW fan, but like obviously he grew up with it. He has like the encyclopedic knowledge of it. An Oklahoma edition. That would be cool. I actually lived in Oklahoma. I would live there again, by the way. Tulsa's beautiful. Have you ever tried the Aliens RPG? No, I didn't know that. I'd like to check that out. Aliens RPG. Hardcore fast-paced action. It's amazing. I'll have to check that out. That sounds dope. Okay. Oh, and another quick thing, too, before I go, because I have another note here, and it's the one thing that I didn't mention. Maybe we could do another, this is just another segment idea. So like, please feel free to like send comments and send emails. Let me put this thing up here again. So this is the bardadvice at gmail.com. Bardadvice. Send questions and stuff there. I'm curious as to wonder if anybody would, maybe we could do like another little section beyond just like the art corner. Maybe we could do some stuff where we talk about music and film weekly as well. But then also I was thinking like, would it be cool if we had like a play of the week, where like people send in like some just like epically cool stuff that they did with their character, right? And then like we just do like a little play of the week where it's just like we talk about that for a couple of minutes, and it's just like super cool epic stuff that you've done in D&D. Oh, thank you, River. River, you're killing it with questions. I really appreciate it. And I am going to get you one on that false Hydra stuff, but it just might not be for a while. It'll be like 6 months from now. It'll be like, all right, River, I'm ready. We're going to talk about it. But yeah, send questions and stuff to bardadvice@gmail.com, please. I could always use more. Like I said earlier, I do read everything, even though I haven't responded to something. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to. It doesn't mean that I didn't read it, because I read it. A lot of stuff that if you sent me a question a while ago and I haven't answered it, chances are good that I am trying to figure out the best way to answer it. That's the most likely thing. So, oh, hey, Victoria, you're welcome. Thank you for the question. I thought it was cool. Hopefully I gave you a bit of an answer as to what you could do with it. I'd like to see it if you end up making it, because I think that would look really cool. Maybe you play it in a campaign or something and like build some exploits with that character, because that would be some real chaos. Epic of the week or some such. Yeah. Just like something cool. So thank you all for joining me for this 3rd episode. I've enjoyed it, in spite of the bumpy stuff. That's OBS setting stuff. I'll work on that. Thank you all for coming by. Thank you, Stormborn Studios. Much love to everyone. I hope everybody's doing okay in these our trying times as we like transition from people into data. Where do we all get a poster of Mr. Dangerfield? You know, I got that poster at like a Kmart before they closed. I think it's like a local artist that did it. I don't know. But thank you all for coming. I will be here next week. Same Bard time, same Bard channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the podcast is available in audio format on Saturdays at noon. But I think that's it. So, thanks. Have a good evening.